So your water pressure has been dropping off, and every faucet in the house feels like it is barely trickling out. Maybe it happened gradually over a few months, or maybe you woke up one morning and the shower just was not cutting it anymore. Either way, you are standing there wondering what is going on and whether you need to write a big check to a plumber. Here is the good news. I am going to walk you through the complete diagnostic process, step by step, so you can figure out exactly what is causing your low water pressure and fix it yourself in most cases. And if you stick around to the end, I have got a bonus tip on a simple device that can solve pressure problems permanently for under $100. Let us get into it. Low water pressure is one of the most frustrating plumbing problems because it affects everything. Your showers, your dishwasher, your washing machine, even how long it takes to fill a pot of water. But here is what most people do not realize. 9 times out of 10, the cause is something you can diagnose and fix yourself without any special skills. You just need to know where to look. So let us start right where the water enters your house. The very first thing I want you to check is your main shutoff valve. This is the valve on your side of the water meter, usually located where the main water line comes through your foundation wall. In warmer climates, it might be on an exterior wall or in a utility box near the street. Here is why this matters so much. If this valve is not fully open, you are choking off the water supply to your entire house before it even gets a chance to reach a single fixture. I cannot tell you how many times I have shown up to a service call, charged somebody my trip fee, and the fix was literally just opening this valve all the way. It happens way more than you would think. Sometimes, after a repair, someone closes it part way and forgets about it. Sometimes a kid bumps it while playing in the basement. Sometimes it just gets nudged over the years and nobody notices. So here is what you do. Find that valve and take a good look at it. If it is a gate valve, which is the round handle type that looks like a small steering wheel, turn it counterclockwise until it stops. Do not force it, but make sure it is completely open. If it is a ball valve, which has a lever handle, the handle should be perfectly in line with the pipe. If it is sitting at any angle to the pipe, even slightly, it is partially closed. Turn it so it lines up completely with the direction of the pipe. Now, while you are at it, go check the meter valve too. That is the valve on the city side of your water meter. Same exact deal. If it is not all the way open, your pressure is going to suffer throughout the whole house. Sometimes, after the city does work on the main line, they do not open that valve back up all the way. If it is a ball valve, same rule applies, handle in line with the pipe. If it is a gate valve, counterclockwise until it stops. If you are not comfortable touching the meter valve, you can call your water utility and ask them to verify it is fully open. They will usually come out and do that for free. All right, if both valves are wide open and you are still dealing with weak pressure, it is time to get an actual number on what your system is doing. For this, you are going to need a water pressure gauge. You can pick one up at any hardware store for about $8 to $12. It is a small brass fitting with a dial on it, and it just threads right onto a hose bib, which is your outdoor spigot. Screw it on hand tight, then open the spigot all the way. The gauge will give you a reading in PSI, which stands for pounds per square inch. Here is what you are looking for. Normal residential water pressure should fall between 40 and 60 PSI. Anything above 80 PSI is actually too high and can damage your plumbing over time, and anything below 40 PSI is considered low. If your gauge reads below 30 PSI, you have got a significant problem that needs attention right away. Write that number down because it is your baseline, and you are going to reference it as we work through the rest of the diagnostics. Now here is a tip that a lot of people miss. Test your pressure at different times of the day. Water pressure can fluctuate quite a bit depending on demand in your neighborhood. If you test at 6 in the morning when everyone on your street is showering and getting ready for work, you might get a lower reading than if you test at 2 in the afternoon when most people are at work or school. Try testing at least twice, once during a peak usage time and once during an off-peak time. If the pressure is low all the time, regardless of when you test, the issue is somewhere in your house or your supply line. If it is only low during peak times, the issue might actually be on the municipal side, and you would want to call your water utility to report it. One more thing on testing. If you can, test the pressure with every fixture in the house turned off. Nothing running at all. Then turn on a couple of faucets and see how much the pressure drops on the gauge. If it drops dramatically when just 1 or 2 fixtures are running, that tells you something very different than if it is consistently low no matter what. That kind of information helps you narrow down the cause much faster. Quick thing before we move on. I have spent 35 years learning these fixes the hard way, and I put the best of what I know into a book called 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes. 122 pages of step-by-step repairs with 17 diagrams that can save you thousands. Scan the QR code on screen or hit the link in the description if you want the full guide. Now back to the fix. If your pressure gauge gave you a low reading with both valves confirmed fully open, the next thing I want you to look at is your pressure regulator. This is also called a PRV, which stands for pressure reducing valve. Not every house has one, but if your home was built after the early 1980s, there is a very good chance you have got one somewhere on your main line. It is usually a bell-shaped or dome-shaped brass fitting located on the main water line right after it enters your house, often very close to the main shutoff valve. What this device does is take the incoming pressure from the city main, which can be anywhere from 80 to 150 psi depending on your area, and reduce it down to a safe level for your household plumbing. Most PRVs come preset from the factory at around 50 psi. The problem is that these things do not last forever. Most have a lifespan of about 7 to 12 years. And when they start failing internally, they can restrict your pressure way more than they should. Sometimes they fail wide open, which gives you dangerously high pressure that can blow out supply lines and damage appliances. And sometimes they fail in the closed direction, which chokes your pressure down to almost nothing. Here is how to check it. Look at the PRV and you will see an adjustment screw or bolt on the top of the bell housing. Before you touch anything, take a fresh pressure reading at your hose bib so you have a current baseline. Then, using an adjustable wrench or pair of pliers, try turning that adjustment bolt clockwise about half a turn. Go back and check your pressure reading again. If the pressure came up noticeably, the PRV was just set too low or had slowly drifted out of its proper adjustment range over the years. If turning the bolt does absolutely nothing to your pressure reading, the PRV has likely failed internally and needs to be replaced entirely. A new PRV runs about $30 to $60 for the part itself, and if you are comfortable working with copper fittings or using push-fit connectors, you can handle the replacement yourself. Just remember to shut off the main water supply first and drain the lines before you cut into anything. With the valves and the PRV ruled out, now I want you to look for hidden leaks in your system. A leak anywhere in your plumbing bleeds off pressure constantly, and sometimes these leaks are in places you would never think to check. Here is the easiest way to find out if you have one. Go to your water meter and look at the flow indicator on the face of the meter. It is usually a small triangle or a tiny dial. Make absolutely sure every single faucet, toilet, appliance, hose, and irrigation line in and around your house is completely turned off. Nothing should be using water at all. Now watch that flow indicator for about 2 solid minutes. If it is moving even slightly, water is flowing somewhere in your system, and that means you have got a leak stealing your pressure. Common hiding spots for leaks include the underground supply line between the meter and your house. This pipe can develop leaks over the years from shifting soil, tree root intrusion, or just age. A telltale sign is a soggy spot in the yard that never seems to dry out even when it has not rained. Toilets are another huge culprit that people overlook. A running toilet with a bad flapper can waste 200 gallons a day and absolutely wreck your pressure. Here is a quick test. Drop a few drops of food coloring into the toilet tank and wait about 10 minutes without flushing. If color shows up in the bowl, your flapper is leaking and needs to be replaced. That is a $2 part and a 5-minute fix. Also check under every sink in the house, around the base of your water heater, and down in the crawl space if you have one. Even a small, steady drip adds up over time and steals pressure from every other fixture in the house. If you have found no leaks and the pressure is still not where it should be, it is time to look at individual fixtures. Sometimes what feels like a whole house pressure problem is actually just a handful of fixtures that are clogged up, and it makes the situation seem worse than it really is. Start with your faucet aerators. These are the little screened inserts that thread onto the tip of each faucet spout. Over time, mineral deposits, sediment, and small debris particles build up in these screens and restrict the flow significantly. Unscrew the aerator by hand or with a pair of pliers wrapped in a strip of tape so you do not scratch the chrome finish. Hold it up to the light and look through it. If it is clogged with white or greenish mineral buildup, soak it in plain white vinegar. For about 30 minutes, then scrub it with an old toothbrush and rinse it clean. You will be genuinely amazed at how much flow you get back just from cleaning your aerators. I have seen fixtures go from a trickle to full blast just from this one step. Showerheads are the exact same story. Unscrew the showerhead from the arm and check the inlet screen for mineral buildup. Soak it in vinegar if it is crusted up. While you have got the showerhead off, turn the water on briefly and see what kind of flow you are getting out of the shower arm by itself. If the flow is strong coming straight out of the arm but weak when the showerhead is attached, you know the showerhead itself is the restriction, not your supply lines. For fixtures where cleaning the aerator or showerhead does not solve it, the issue might be inside the valve cartridge. Cartridges in single-handle faucets can get gummed up with mineral deposits over time, especially if you live in an area with hard water. Replacing a cartridge is a pretty straightforward job that takes about 20 minutes. Just shut off the supply lines under the sink first and take the old cartridge with you to the hardware store so you can get an exact match. Now, if you have worked through all of that and the pressure still is not right, we need to have a conversation about your pipes themselves. This is especially important if you live in an older home, anything built before about 1960. Many homes from that era were plumbed entirely with galvanized steel pipes. Here is the problem with galvanized pipe. Over decades, the inside of those pipes builds up layer after layer of mineral scale and corrosion. I have cut open galvanized pipes on jobs where a 3/4-inch pipe had an internal opening no bigger than a pencil eraser. The outside of the pipe looks perfectly fine, but the inside is almost completely blocked. If you suspect you have galvanized pipes, look at them where they are exposed in the basement, crawl space, or utility room. Galvanized pipes have a dull gray appearance and use threaded fittings at every connection point. Here is a diagnostic trick. Compare the water flow from a fixture that is close to where the main line enters the house versus a fixture at the far end of the house, like an upstairs bathroom at the opposite corner. If the pressure is noticeably better close to the main entry point and drops off the farther you get from it, that is a classic telltale sign of corroded galvanized pipes restricting flow progressively along the length of the run. Unfortunately, there is no practical way to clean out the inside of galvanized pipes. The real and permanent fix is repiping which means replacing those old corroded pipes with copper or PEX tubing. PEX is a flexible plastic tubing that has become very popular and is much easier to work with than copper. Repiping a whole house is a bigger project, and you might want to bring in a professional for that. But it is also one of the single best investments you can make in an older home. It solves the pressure problem for good and adds real resale value to the property. Also think about pipe diameter. If your main supply line coming into the house is only ½ inch, that single pipe is a bottleneck for the whole system, especially if you have more than one bathroom. Most modern plumbing codes require a 3/4 inch main supply line, stepping down to ½ inch only for individual fixture runs. If your main line is undersized, upgrading just that one pipe from the meter to the house can make a dramatic difference in your overall pressure. Let me walk you through some common scenarios and what they usually mean. If your pressure is low only on the hot water side, but the cold is perfectly fine, the problem is almost certainly related to your water heater. Check the shutoff valve on the cold inlet going into the heater and make sure it is fully open. Also, sediment buildup in the bottom of the tank can restrict flow through the whole hot water system. Flushing the heater by connecting a garden hose to the drain valve at the bottom and letting several gallons run out can help clear that sediment. I recommend doing this at least once a year as routine maintenance. If your pressure drops noticeably whenever someone flushes a toilet or turns on another fixture simultaneously, your system cannot handle the demand of multiple fixtures running at once. This usually points to undersized supply lines or marginal incoming pressure from the street. If you just moved into the house and the pressure has always seemed low since day one, check with your neighbors. If they are experiencing the same thing, the issue is on the municipal side. Your city may simply have low main pressure serving your particular area. If the pressure was perfectly fine and then suddenly dropped off, that points to a specific event. A valve got bumped, a PRV failed, a pipe burst somewhere underground, or the city is doing maintenance on the water main. Start with the valves, then check the PRV, then look for leaks in that order. If the pressure is noticeably weaker on the second floor compared to the first, that is partly just gravity working against you. Each foot of elevation costs you roughly 0.43 psi, so a second-floor bathroom sitting 10 feet above your main supply line is already losing about 4 to 5 psi just from the elevation difference alone. All right, here is that bonus tip I promised you at the beginning, and this one is a real game changer. If you have gone through every single step in this guide and your incoming pressure from the city is simply low, or if you are on a well system and your pressure tank is not keeping up with demand, a water pressure booster pump can completely transform your situation. These units install directly on your main water line after the meter and before your PRV. They use a small electric motor and an internal pressure tank to actively boost your incoming pressure by 20 to 30 psi. You can pick up a quality residential booster pump for about $200 to $300. Brands like Davy and Watts both make excellent units designed specifically for residential applications. Installation is very straightforward if you are comfortable making basic plumbing connections. You will need 2 isolation valves, one on each side of the pump so you can service it later, a check valve to prevent backflow, and a standard electrical outlet within reach. The whole installation takes roughly 2 to 3 hours using push-fit connectors. I have installed these in homes where the city pressure was sitting at a measly 25 psi, and after the booster pump was up and running, we had a solid 50 psi throughout every fixture in the entire house. The homeowners told me it felt like living in a completely different home. For under $300 and one afternoon of your time, it is honestly one of the best value upgrades you can make to any house with pressure issues. All right, that is the full breakdown. Remember, every single plumbing fix I wish homeowners knew about is in my book, 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes That Will Save You $10,000. Scan the QR code on screen right now or grab it from the first link in the description. I appreciate you watching, and if you want more of these practical fixes, make sure to subscribe. I will see you in the next one.